Hey guys, Puff TV here with you again, and today I got a nice one for you. It's gonna be a story time. So, long story short, this story is gonna be, as you've read, about how I went to the Ravens game on mushrooms. Started out as a great time, ended a little bit bad. We're gonna go through the avenues that led us down that route. So get strapped in, grab something to smoke, and stay tuned because you're gonna love this story. So the beginning of this story actually starts, I want to think, around Saturday, and I'll include the date on the screen as I'm saying it now. I entered in a contest for Curio Wellness here in Maryland, and they were doing a ticket giveaway for a Ravens game. So, of course, I entered the giveaway, and ironically, I ended up winning. So, I invited my friend Darren along. He's one of my coworkers. You'll see him throughout the clips and everything. Also, a couple of my other coworkers, one of my manager and her fiance, were going to the game as well. Yeah, so they have season tickets for the game, so they were already going. So, of course, winning the game, I had to see if I can get off on Sunday. So, sure enough, I was able to get off on Sunday and go to the game. The one catch is, though, I had to personally wake up at, I believe, 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning to drive to Salisbury. It's an hour drive from my house to meet up with Darren, the one I'm going with. We get to his house, get all situated and everything, got the weed, got everything we need, made sure we had the mushroom bar with us. So basically we had 5 pieces of mushroom bar. I don't know the milligrams. All I know is this motherfucker was strong and it got me good. But that's coming up. So we get in the car and everything, we get situated, we're like, all right, so we need some blunts and shit, because we don't have anything to roll right now. All we got is a couple joints that we bought the night before. So we ride to Royal Farms, gas up the car, we get some sodas, drinks, and everything for the ride, because it's going to be a 2.5, 3 hour ride to Baltimore, especially finding parking, so we want to make sure we're good hydrated for that ride. And I bought 2 packs of blunts. So I think, and I'm not sure if the video shows it or not, but we ended up smoking some of these Pheno Hunt strains that I had from Cookies from SunMed here in Maryland. And as you'll see, one was Mendelin Apricot Gelato or something mix, and the other one, I want to say, had Gary Payton. I'm not sure. You'll see on the screen if I had happened to remember. If not, it'll be in text. Either way, we rolled up a couple blunts for the ride and got on the road. We had a pretty just solid ride there. Everything was smooth. Just sat there kind of talking about work and smoking some blunts, getting all high for the game, talking about how excited we were and all that, John. We weren't really sure when we got there how parking was going to be, so we had talked to another coworker of ours that had gone to a game up there, and they had a specific place that they told us to go to park. Well, it was a 15-minute walk from the stadium, and we wanted to see if we can find somewhere a little closer. So for the same price, we found it was a makeshift parking area that these attendees had set up. Holy shit! We are almost to the fucking game. We're going to the Ravens-Lions game.
In 2 miles, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 53 for I-395 north for downtown.
It's crazy how beautiful it looks this morning. It's gonna be a good day. People and things galore. It's fucking crazy. go. Nice. We're here.
Around all line fans.
Yeah, we're
Like 30 line fans around us. Look, they're right there too.
yeah, they're everywhere. I don't know. Well, you can see that over there, there, over there. Yeah, we surrounded right now. By the way, first ever fucking football game, so this is gonna be wild. Can't wait to get some pictures and videos while we're in there. You know how it is. This guy has a pumpkin on the top of his fucking truck. It's cool. I wonder if he drives around like that. Set up. And basically it was $60 to park 3 blocks away from the stadium. Super quick walk. And we ended up getting there stupidly early. So what we had planned, and the reason we had left early in the first place, was to see the players do the walk onto the field. Well, we didn't know where they were doing that, so like I said, we left early to try to make it to there. Well, as you'll see in the videos that I'll include, we were walking to the stadium. We were trying to figure out whether or not we could go in the stadium yet. So we were smoking a blunt, walking to the stadium, and all of a sudden these biker cops come flying down the road. First it's just one dude, and he's like, come on, move, move, move. And I'm like, what is going on? I had the blunt in my hand, and I'm like, it's probably about, a little roach at this point, maybe about that long, not really much of it left, but still enough to smoke. Well, these cops come fucking, whoa, 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 whoa. First it was one, and then I swear to God, 8, 10 more cops on bikes, Chips cops, you know what I mean? Come flying down the highway, and they're escorting the Lions players. So I forgot to mention that the Lions and the Ravens were playing that day. Come to find out, as we were going, we found out that Terrell Suggs was retiring his jersey at that game as well. So it was like, super cool that we were going to experience all that. We had no idea what was going on when these cops started flying down the road. I threw that motherfucking blunt on the ground so quick, stomped that bitch out, and was like, in just shock. As you'll see on the video, these tour buses, these charter buses come down the road in just full presidential stature. It's insane. So they do that and everything, get pulled into the stadium, and we're trying to figure out, should we wait or should we walk up to the stadium? What should we do? It's about that time, because they said that the player was going to do walks at 10 or something like that. So it was about that time, we were getting there. So we are trying to contemplate whether we should walk up to the thing, figure out about the walk-on and whatever. So blunt's done after that. We had to roll another one in the car. So we were like, let's just walk up to the stadium real quick, see what's going on, see if we can walk and see this walk-on that they're talking about through the tunnel. Well, the guy's like, you can't come in for general admission until 11:30. And at that point, it was like 10 o'clock or something like that. So we had a pretty good amount of time to wait until we could actually go in the stadium. At that point, I had contacted the other person that was going, my other coworker, and asked her, what was going on all that. She wasn't there yet. She hadn't left. She was going to come more around the time when the game started at 1 o'clock. We were going to try to, kind of get the whole experience. So our goal was to try to get the walk on through the tunnel as well. Well, after we found out we couldn't go in until 11:30, and I contacted my coworker, she informed us that there is a spot that you can go to that's outside of the stadium to watch it. So by the time that she replied to my message, the walk had already been done. So we had walked back to the car and decided to hang out there for the short bit of time before we needed to go back and, get situated, so that way we had a good spot in line going into the stadium. We get back to the car, and there's a bunch of Lions fans outside of the car, and they're playing cornhole. So Darren, being the outgoing person he is like, hey, I don't want to, scare you or anything like that. We're not leaving. You don't have to worry about moving your stuff. We're just going to smoke real quick before the game. And they were like, cool, you're all good. We're just going to sit here, no harm, no foul. Well, it turns out the fucking Lions fans were all stoners too. So it all worked out. We smoked a blunt. We're deciding what to do after that. And of course, as I'll show you some clips as we're going, looking at all the people outside. It's insane. They have like little cliques going on. It's weird. But we smoked a blunt, and the Lions fans that were literally in front of our car were like, hey, another one? And at first we thought he was talking about Darren, because Darren had a Washington Redskins jersey on. And of course it's a Ravens-Lions game. So we thought another one, because there was been multiple people with Redskins jerseys on. The reason he wore the Redskins jersey is so that way when the cameras on the live feed seen him in the stadium, his kids could see him and know which one it was. Well, the disheartening fact was there was a couple other people with Redskins jerseys on. So we had thought that they were talking about, of course, the jerseys. And it took me a hot 30 seconds, as well as him, to realize that they were talking about rolling up another blunt, because we had started rolling up another blunt. It was just the greatest of time. I don't think I've ever seen people so happy and together, in a scenario like that. Mind you, this was my first experience at a football game ever. I've never been to a football game. So we get done smoking that second blunt, and there's probably about, a fourth of it left. We put it out, and we decided to start walking back to the stadium. It's about, 11:10 at that point. Maybe not even. It was probably about 10:50 to 11 o'clock. We get to outside of the stadium. They have like this tailgate party set up. What we failed to realize was that it's a actual separate party with tickets and everything like that. We thought it was part of like something that was general admission. You could just walk into, yada yada, and visit the food trucks. And if you wanted to see the concert or whatever, you could pay for that. It wasn't like that. You had to pay for tickets, obviously. We found that out, and a little discouraging, but we're like, whatever, it's part of the experience. We never figured this out. We never knew, so now we know. We, after that, decided to walk up to the stadium. We got up to the stadium, and there was some people like decked out in some like crazy garb, as you'll see. I'll try to throw it up here. We had walked up to where the gates enter. We found out that gate D was the gate that had our seats basically adjacent to it. So what we did was we found one of the, I think, 10 gates at gate D that you could walk through to form the lines, and we were second in line to go through the gates. They opened them at 5 minutes to 11, I think. I can't remember exact time, but it was about 11:05, 11:10 when they opened the gates instead of 11:30 like they said. So we were able to go straight through the gate. We ended up getting a Terrell Suggs pin, a commemorative pin for, like I said, the jersey hanging, or the Ring of Honor that he was accepted into. Now they're retiring his jersey. We were able to get some other flyers and cool stuff like that. We went to a couple concession stands. They had pizza, burgers, some basic stuff, and then they had some short rib sandwiches. We ended up getting some barbecue from the short rib place, and using the bathroom. We went to find our seats. I'll include some videos of just the stadium. We had row 6, section, so it was section 136, row 6, seats 9 and 10. We looked up the price of around that area's seats, like how much it would cost to like buy the tickets, and they were about $5.50 each seat. So phenomenal. Huge thank you to Curio once again. Curio Wellness on Instagram. I'll link them in the video here. Without them, wouldn't be able to experience this, share it with you, and also get to the excitement bits of sorts. So now that we are in the stadium, we found our seats. We kind of sat down for a couple minutes, realized we have about an hour and a half or so till the game starts. What we needed after that was a little bit of tobacco, since we had to wait. I have my Elf bar, obviously, and he smokes his blacks. We went to go walk around, and I shit you not, the amount of people that were there when it opened was so little and insurmountable that it didn't even reflect until we went to go smoke, and there was thousands of people shoulder to shoulder to each other. And we're like, all right, well, what do? We gotta find somebody, ask where we can smoke at. So we go and find a cop and ask him. We ask him where the smoking section is, and he goes, it's at gate A. So we start walking, trying to find gate A. And Darren's like, all right, so how can we trust this? And I'm like, you're right, let's ask some other people. So we ask a couple other people, they don't know, or they say other gates. Well, it turns out, after we walked all the way to gate A and asked somebody where it was, the smoking section's all the way at gate D where we entered. So we walk all the way around the building, and we're like, you know what, fuck it. So I hit my vape and blow it out my nose, and he lights up his cigar, and we're walking around, and we're like, yo, should we drop the shrooms now, since we still have a little bit of time to wait, and by the time the game starts, it'll be kicking in? I'm like, yeah, fuck it, let's go ahead and do it. So we split the mushrooms up. Like I said, it was 5 pieces, so it was 2.5 each. So I think around 6 pieces or so is like visiting God. It's been a while since I've taken mushrooms. I just want to put that disclaimer out there. I do not condone anyone else doing this. 18 or older, obviously, whole 9 yards. Do at your own risk. This is by no means you follow my lead video. This is a educational story video here. Well, I take 1 piece of this chocolate. He drops the whole thing at that time. And you could tell when it kicked in for him. He was starting to feel it. He was starting to get a little stumbly. He was getting drinks, so that he was trying to counter, some of the effects of the anxiety and the panic that sometimes comes along with that stomach feeling that you get when you take mushrooms. I don't know if it's just the amount of time that it's been for me taking mushrooms, or these new chocolate bars being super potent, but it kicked my ass. I took 1 piece, and I think I ate a couple bites of my sandwich, and then it was like a half an hour later. It went by pretty quick. I felt it start to kick in a little bit. Darren had mentioned something about me not finishing the other bits of chocolate. It was 1.5 pieces left. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure out, how I'm going to feel, because I'm not sure how I'm feeling. And it's kind of like a very anxiety-inducing scenario. Well, we're walking around, and my stomach starts feeling a little queasy. So I went to the bathroom and tried to use the bathroom. Just kind of shake the feeling, because I've taken mushrooms before, and I know that you kind of get a uneasy feeling that has to do with the chemical imbalances in your stomach trying to equal it out for the activation of the psilocybins. Well, knowing that, and knowing where I was, and just that I guess I wasn't comfortable, I started freaking out a little bit. So I tried to use the bathroom. The whole time I was in the bathroom, there's like hundreds of people around me. The toilet paper holder kept fucking opening and it kept hitting me in the head, so I had to hold it up like this while I'm trying to use the bathroom. It was ridiculous. I ended up just taking the whole giant roll out and sticking it on the floor, so it was easier to like manage, because obviously I wasn't feeling good. Well, I get done using the bathroom and I come back out and he's asking me how I'm feeling. I'm like, I'm doing good, and just gotta take some deep breaths and try to shake it. So our idea is, let's go back to the seats, kind of sit down and relax. And his idea was, since he's with me, I should be good. Well, we get back to the seats, and something about the amount of people that were there that weren't there before was just building in me the anxiety and just the panic. So, of course, I'm trying to take deep breaths, and I can feel myself getting higher, like, by the second. Like, I'm getting fucking faded like crazy. Mind you, I've had no alcohol. I do not like to drink. Only had probably, 2.5 blunts the whole entire time. So I feel myself starting to, like, float, and the panic sets in. I'm feeling sick as shit. And I'm like, yo, I know I can't throw up, but if I throw up, I'll feel better, and I can just get it out of me, and it is what it is. It's just a waste of the shrooms. So I was like, yo, Darren, I'll be right back. Don't worry about me, but I'll be right back. I'm gonna run to the bathroom. So I get up, and I damn near bolt to the bathroom. And what I failed to realize, because I've never been in a football game before, is when everyone gets there, you're going to wait in a line, no matter what bathroom you get to. So, of course, I end up walking around the stadium about 3 times, walking into damn near every bathroom and walking right back out of it, because as soon as I walked in, I felt sick from being claustrophobic. And the amount of people in there, like, the tension was just too high. You were going to end up waiting. You were going to end up waiting probably a half an hour to an hour just to get to the pisser, not to mention the actual stall. So I'm walking around, I'm realizing, hey, it seems like there's more girls' bathrooms than boys' bathrooms. And I'm really starting to just try to focus on stuff that's not my stomach at the moment. And I'm walking through this crowd of people. I'm shoulder to shoulder with people, just walking around. I get, like I said, 3 times around this building, and I'm like, yo, I need to do something, because if I don't throw up in front of these people, then I'm going to just keep getting higher, and I'm going to just keep getting sicker feeling. So what I did was I went to the first aid station in the stadium and asked them if I could sit down for a moment, because I was having a panic attack from all the noise. They said it was fine and everything, so I sat down, and things settled for a minute, but I could feel the cold sweats. Now, if you've ever had cold sweats, you understand that your body feels completely cold, but you are overheating like crazy. You need water, and you have to pass whatever is making you feel sick at the time. Well, I'm sitting in this nurse's station, and I'm asking them, okay, can you give me some water? And can you get me like a plastic bag or something I can breathe into to try to regulate my breathing? They get me a plastic bag. I guess it's like a throw-up bag, which happened to come in handy, because after I took a couple sips of water, the nausea took over and I started getting gaggy. Well, I threw up about 7 times. 3 or 4 were on the floor in the main room, and the rest were in the bathroom. A few were self-induced because I had to get the feeling away. I was absolutely dying, and my first, never do this, obviously, but my first reaction, especially having the panic attack that I was having, I've never felt before, was to go to the hospital. I knew it wasn't the right move, but considering my state and where I was at, I wasn't sure what to do. I threw up a couple times, started feeling a little bit better, but I started getting chills. I was talking to the nurses, and they were like, you can either go to the hospital, get your friend to drive you or whatever. And I was like, trying to figure out what to do. So I ended up coming up with, I'm just going to go to the hospital. They asked me how I'm going to do that. I was like, well, I'll just go to the street and call them if I have to. It's just, I'll figure it out. After going back and forth with these nurses for a little bit and clearing my stomach, I started feeling a little bit better. I was getting massive cold chills, but I knew that the main of what was going to continue happening was out of me, and I just had to ride out what was initially absorbed. I was going to literally just leave the stadium and go to the hospital, but I decided to text Darren. He had texted me and called me a couple times and asked where I was at, and I told him that I was over by the steps, I wasn't feeling good, etc. He was like, hold on, I'll be right there. So he was starting to panic because it had been a little while. I didn't realize how long it had been. Apparently I was walking around for about a half an hour or better. The game had already started. I missed the first touchdown, everything like that. So I meet up with him and he's like, you good? And I was like, nah, dude, I'm not good. I'm feeling like shit right now. I just threw up a bunch. But also, I'm not trying to like take us away from, you know, this experience, because it's, you know, it's something we're not going to just experience all the time. And him being a fucking G was like, dude, if you're not feeling good, then we need to take care of you more than worrying about me enjoying the game. And I was like, dude, that just makes me feel like crap. But I mean, if you're fucking sure, then like I gotta do something. It's kind of shaking me up a little bit, because I still feel like guilt, like total guilt, because of this whole scenario. But my goal is to make a little story video and you guys enjoy it and be able to reminisce and kind of laugh about it. Well, I stumble back to the car. This motherfucker smells jerk chicken and starts talking to the guy about it. This guy made some good-ass jerk chicken, though. I wish I knew who or what the food truck was, but they did some genuine jerk chicken. It was phenomenal. I could not eat any of it at the time because I had walked back to the car while he was getting the chicken. I, at that point, realized we were completely blocked in the parking lot. Like, they said that they were going to leave room so we could be able to leave once it came to it, and they completely blocked everybody in. So I'm at the car, kind of hunched over the door, you know, looking in, just kind of just dying at the moment. At that point, Darren walks up and's just like, oh, fuck. And I'm like, yeah, dude, we're not going shit. We're not going nowhere. We're screwed. Like, we're stuck. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, can you just open the car, let me sit down and just try to take some breaths. So I get in the car, he turns the air conditioner on, and I shit you not, I start blacking out. I guess I got so relaxed, my body just said, I'm done. You know, I just gotta get rest to get rid of this feeling. But I sat in the car for probably an hour, in and out of passing out. What I assume was a touchdown had happened and it jolted me awake. I, at that point, was looking around, just kind of confused, in a daze from the mushrooms still being in my system. So I'm like, kind of just like staring around, just completely out of it. And I see Darren's head from a couple of cars over walking through the parking lot, and he comes back and he comes and checks on me. He's like, how you doing, man? I was just like, I don't know, man. I feel weird. I was like, I don't know what happened. He was like, well, they just got a touchdown and they shot off fireworks and all this crazy stuff. And I just went over and was hanging out with the people across the street, and they got a TV and a bar set up, and they sold me a drink for some drinks for $20 and all this other stuff. And I've just been hanging out with them. And I was like, well, dude, at least I'm like, it made me feel a little better that he was finding a way to enjoy the time. We did, so we sat in the car for a little bit watching the game on his phone. The Ravens ended up winning 38-6, if I do remember. It was just all around a completely unexplainable experience from the time I got to the car to the time the game was over. Like, we had to sit there for like 2.5 hours before we could leave, because we had to wait for cars to move out of the way so we could proceed to leave the parking lot as well. Well, in my mushroom stupor, I ended up falling asleep through most of the game. So we only had like an hour worth of sitting through it. I asked Darren if we could roll up a couple blunts so that way I could try to smoke, see if the nausea would go away. I tried to take some bites of his chicken. It was almost impossible to eat, but once I did, it made me feel a little bit better for like 20 minutes before the stomach pains and the nausea kept creeping back up on me. We're getting in near the end of the game. They hit that last touchdown, and we're seeing people start walking by the parking lot. At that point, we started playing who's going to get in the car in front of us so we can pull out of here. It took probably 25-30 minutes of waiting and playing, who's going to be it, before we seen somebody hitting the button on their remote. The brake lights were coming on. So we got excited. We were like, okay, we know someone's coming. It's got to be in the next couple 100 feet because range. Sure enough, these 3 or 4 people come up to the car, hop in the truck, and they leave. Darren turns that motherfucker on, is like, yo, let's go. We were talking about possibly going to either DC, depending on how I felt, or we were going to go to the cookies dispensary in Baltimore. Well, we ended up opting with the cookies dispensary. It was a little bit closer, and we both wanted to experience what it's like, considering our company pretty much predominantly carries a lot of stuff that they carry. Well, we get up to the cookies dispensary, and I get hit by a wave of nausea, and I'm like, dude, I can't go in. Here's money. Go buy whatever that you want to buy with whatever money. It was like $50-$60, and we'll smoke and just ride back to the crib in Salisbury. Well, he picks up this Mexican flan that's like 35% THC, and it's like 3, almost 4% on the terpenes, which is phenomenal. Crazy stuff around here with the bud structure and the way it's being grown. There's a lot of bud that's very, very obvious trash, but there's some companies that are really pushing and trying to put out some good product at the moment. Kind Tree and Kind Tree's cookies are one of them. So like I said, we got Mexican flan. Very, very highly recommend. If you see it in your rec market or medical market, pick it up, try it out. If you find the Kind Tree or HMS branded Mexican flan, I would prefer that one over Sunmeds or Caltas. I haven't personally had Caltas very much, but out of the 3, that's the one I would go for. So we pick up the bud, but we are out of papers. We end up going to a gas station about 10 minutes away, right outside of Baltimore, pick up some blunts. I'm like, yo, my hands are too fucking shaky right now. There's no way that I'm going to be able to roll up this blunt. So I was like, yo, do you think you can roll these blunts up for me so that we can smoke? So we sit there for a few minutes. He rolls up the blunts. We put gas in the car, and we get back on the road. I shit you not, from the time that we got from that gas station to the Bay Bridge, it's all a blur. It felt like we were just time traveling. It was completely went away from me. It was insane. We get back to Salisbury, and he's asking me, hey man, you think you're gonna be good to drive? If not, you can chill at my crib for a couple minutes. And I'm like, nah dude, I think I'm good. I'm gonna just try to get back to my house so that way I can relax and get through the night. So we get to his house. He's like, all right, well, since you got to get gas, follow me. We're going to go up to the gas station. I'm just make sure you're good. We went and got gas, and I was like, yeah, dude, I'm good. I just feel a little out of it. So I drove back to the house, started relaxing, started eating some crackers, slept for the rest of the night. It took me 2 days of rest to try to come down from feeling just out of my body and to reduce the panic. Also, when I threw up, my whole chest and my neck area was completely strained out from throwing up. So every time I moved, it was just completely agonizing. All in all, I had a fantastic time. Really wouldn't change anything besides the mushrooms, I guess. But that's my experience on taking mushrooms at the Ravens game. Let me know in the comments you know, what you think. There's probably a lot of stuff that I'm missing, but thanks for listening. Till next time, Puff TV. See you later. So, let me interject real quick. When we got into the stadium, we got the pins, like I said. Well, after we took that initial amount of mushrooms, we were walking around trying to find a place to smoke. We realized that they were giving out pins at every gate. And not just one box, but there was multiple people at every gate. So, being a competitive person that we are, I was like, hey, let's see how many pins we can get considering they're just giving them away. Well, he had a slight advantage because I had my food in my hand. I couldn't grab them as fast as he could. By the end of that, he ended up leaving with 16 pins and I had 4. 4 I'm happy with, but still, I forgot to include it in that section and I thought you guys would enjoy that little bit of debacle. So, yeah. Enjoy.